In the year 1258, a cataclysmic event unfolded that would alter the course of history in the Middle East and resonate through the annals of time. The Mongol invasion of Baghdad, a moment of profound transformation, marked the end of a golden age and the beginning of an era fraught with devastation and change. To truly understand this pivotal event, we must journey back to a time when Baghdad was a beacon of intellectual and cultural brilliance, and the Mongol Empire was an unstoppable force sweeping across continents. Baghdad, the jewel of the Abbasid Caliphate, stood as a symbol of opulence and enlightenment. Founded in the 8th century by Caliph al-Mansur, the city had grown into a thriving metropolis, renowned for its architectural splendor and bustling marketplaces. It was the epicenter of the Islamic Golden Age, a period characterized by unprecedented advancements in science, philosophy, medicine, and the arts. The House of Wisdom, a grand library and academy, attracted scholars from across the Islamic world and beyond, fostering a spirit of inquiry and innovation. At its height, Baghdad was home to a diverse population of over 1 million people, a testament to its economic vitality and cultural magnetism. The Tigris River coursed through the city, providing a lifeline for trade and agriculture, while the city's intricate system of canals and gardens showcased the Abbasids' mastery of engineering and urban planning. The Caliphs of Baghdad presided over an empire that stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indus River, a realm united by faith and the pursuit of knowledge. Yet, this era of prosperity was not to last. By the middle of the 13th century, the Abbasid Caliphate was a shadow of its former self, weakened by internal strife and external threats. Political fragmentation, economic decline, and the rise of rival dynasties eroded the caliphate's power, leaving Baghdad vulnerable to the ambitions of foreign conquerors. Enter the Mongols, a formidable force that had emerged from the steppes of Central Asia under the leadership of Genghis Khan. By the time of Baghdad's fall, the Mongol Empire had become the largest contiguous empire in history, stretching from Eastern Europe to the Sea of Japan. The Mongol military machine was a phenomenon of strategic genius and relentless efficiency, characterized by its highly disciplined cavalry and innovative tactics. Following the death of Genghis Khan, his descendants continued to expand the empire's boundaries, driven by a desire for wealth and dominion. By the mid-13th century, the Mongols had already subjugated much of Central Asia and Persia, and their gaze turned toward the rich lands of the Abbasid Caliphate. Hulagu Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, was tasked with extending Mongol influence into the Islamic world, a mission that would bring him to the gates of Baghdad. Hulagu's campaign was meticulously planned and executed with ruthless precision. In 1257, his forces began their march westward, a vast army comprising Mongols, Persians, Armenians, and other subjugated peoples. As they advanced, they encountered little resistance, their reputation for invincibility preceding them. Cities fell one by one, either choosing submission or facing annihilation. By January of 1258, the Mongols arrived at Baghdad, a city unprepared for the storm that was about to break. The Abbasid Caliph al-Mustasim, ill-equipped and indecisive, underestimated the threat posed by Hulagu's forces. Despite warnings and opportunities to negotiate, al-Mustasim's refusal to capitulate sealed the city's fate. The Mongols laid siege to Baghdad, encircling it with a force estimated to be over 100,000 strong. The Mongols employed a combination of psychological warfare and brute force, systematically dismantling the city's defenses. They constructed siege engines and utilized their formidable archers to rain destruction upon the city walls. The siege of Baghdad was not just a military campaign, it was an assault on the very heart of Islamic civilization. Within the city, panic and chaos reigned as the populace grappled with the looming threat. The once thriving hub of culture and commerce was now a city under siege, its fate hanging in the balance. As the Mongol grip tightened, the world watched, its breath bated, knowing that the fall of Baghdad would herald a seismic shift in the geopolitical landscape of the region. The narrative of Baghdad's fall is one of tragedy and transformation, where the clash of empires and the ambitions of men collided with devastating consequences. As the Mongols prepared to deliver the final blow, the city teetered on the brink of oblivion, its storied past and uncertain future intertwined in the annals of history. The story of Baghdad's fall, however, is not yet complete. As the Siege of Baghdad intensified, the Mongols demonstrated their mastery of siege warfare, employing a range of tactics designed to break the city's defences. Hulagu Khan, a shrewd and determined leader, was well aware that the conquest of Baghdad would send shockwaves throughout the Islamic world. His strategy was one of total domination, aimed at not only capturing the city, but also breaking the spirit of its inhabitants. The Mongols constructed an array of siege engines, including catapults and trebuchets, capable of hurling massive stones and incendiary devices over the city walls. These machines of war, combined with relentless archery barrages, created an atmosphere of unrelenting terror within Baghdad. The city's defenders, outnumbered and overwhelmed, struggled to mount an effective resistance. Inside the city, Caliph al-Mustasim's indecision and lack of military acumen exacerbated the dire situation. Despite the valiant efforts of some of his commanders, the Caliph failed to organize a cohesive defense or rally the city's inhabitants to resist the Mongol onslaught. His reliance on astrologers and advisors who downplayed the Mongol threat further revealed the Caliphate's descent into complacency and disarray. As the siege wore on, the Mongols cut off supply lines, ensuring that starvation and disease began to take a heavy toll on the besieged populace. The once bustling markets of Baghdad, famous for their exotic goods and spices, were now desolate, their stalls empty and abandoned. The Tigris River, which had been the lifeblood of the city, became a barrier to escape as Mongol forces patrolled the riverbanks, ensuring no one could flee or bring reinforcements. The final assault on Baghdad commenced in early February 1258, a meticulously coordinated attack that would seal the city's fate. Hulagu's forces breached the city walls after weeks of unrelenting bombardment, and the Mongols poured into the city with ruthless efficiency. What followed was a massacre of unimaginable scale as the Mongols unleashed their fury upon the inhabitants of Baghdad. The streets, once filled with scholars and merchants, ran red with blood as the Mongols cut down all who stood in their path. The House of Wisdom, the repository of centuries of accumulated knowledge, was set ablaze, its precious manuscripts and scientific treatises consigned to the flames. Scholars and intellectuals, the lifeblood of the city's cultural heritage, were slaughtered alongside soldiers and civilians. The destruction of Baghdad was not merely a military conquest, it was an obliteration of a civilization. The Mongols, renowned for their pragmatic approach to warfare, recognized the symbolic importance of Baghdad as the heart of the Islamic world. By destroying the city, they sought to send a clear and chilling message to their enemies. Resistance was futile, and the Mongol Empire was an unstoppable force. Yet, amidst the devastation, there were moments of human resilience and compassion. Some Mongol commanders, aware of the cultural significance of certain individuals, spared the lives of a few scholars and artisans, recognizing their potential value to the empire. These exceptions, however, were rare, and the overall toll of the siege was catastrophic. The fall of Baghdad marked a profound shift in the balance of power in the region. The Abbasid Caliphate, once a formidable empire, was effectively extinguished, its remnants scattered and its legacy tarnished. The Mongols, having achieved their objective, consolidated their hold over Mesopotamia, incorporating it into the vast expanse of their empire. In the aftermath of the siege, Baghdad lay in ruins, its population decimated and its grandeur reduced to ashes. The Mongols, despite their reputation for destruction, were not oblivious to the city's strategic importance. Under Hulagu's leadership, efforts were made to restore some semblance of order, and the city was repopulated with settlers from other parts of the Mongol realm. However, the Baghdad that emerged from the ashes was a shadow of its former self, its culture and influence irrevocably altered. Even as Baghdad struggled to rebuild, the impact of its fall resonated beyond its borders. The Islamic world, stunned by the loss of its intellectual and spiritual center, grappled with the implications of Mongol dominance. The Mongols, having demonstrated their might, continued their campaigns across the region, reshaping the political and cultural landscape of the Middle East. Yet, despite the devastation, the fall of Baghdad was not the end of its story. The city's resilience and strategic importance ensured that it would rise again, albeit transformed by the crucible of Mongol conquest. As the dust settled over the ruins, the world watched, knowing that the legacy of Baghdad would endure, even as the city itself lay in shattered silence. In the years following the devastating siege, Baghdad's transformation under Mongol control was both profound and paradoxical. Despite the initial destruction, the Mongols recognized the strategic and economic value of Baghdad. Hulagu Khan, although primarily a conqueror, was also a ruler with an eye towards governance, and he sought to integrate the city into the broader tapestry of the Mongol Empire. One of the first challenges faced by the Mongol administration was the re-establishment of order and stability. The demographic vacuum left by the massacre was partially filled by settlers from other regions under Mongol rule, including Persians and Central Asians. These new inhabitants brought with them diverse customs and traditions, contributing to the city's evolving identity. The Mongols, renowned for their religious tolerance, allowed various faiths to flourish, though Islam remained the dominant religion. Economically, the Mongols were pragmatic. They understood that a thriving trade network was essential to the prosperity of their empire. Consequently, efforts were made to revive Baghdad's once vibrant markets. The city's strategic location on the Tigris River and its historical role as a nexus of trade routes made it an indispensable asset. Under Mongol oversight, trade gradually resumed, connecting Baghdad to the Silk Road and facilitating exchanges between East and West. Culturally, the Mongol period in Baghdad was one of adaptation and resilience. Although the House of Wisdom was lost, the spirit of intellectual inquiry persisted. The Mongols, who valued craftsmanship and learning, employed scholars and artisans from the regions they conquered. This synthesis of cultures led to a unique blend of artistic and scientific achievements. Persian, Chinese, and Mongol influences merged with Islamic traditions, giving rise to new forms of art, literature, and architecture. The Mongol Empire's administrative style also had a lasting impact on Baghdad. They employed a sophisticated system of governance, which included the use of local officials and the implementation of efficient communication networks. The Yam system, a relay of horse-mounted couriers, ensured rapid transmission of information across vast distances. This innovation not only facilitated imperial control, but also contributed to the dissemination of ideas and cultural exchange. Despite these efforts, the scars of the Mongol conquest remained. The population of Baghdad never fully recovered to its pre-siege levels, and the city's role as a cultural and intellectual leader was significantly diminished. The psychological impact of the Mongol invasion lingered, a testament to the enduring trauma of war and conquest. The decline of the Mongol Empire in the late 14th century marked another turning point for Baghdad. The empire fragmented into smaller khanates, each vying for control over the territories once united under the great Khans. Baghdad, caught in the crossfire of these power struggles, experienced periods of instability and further decline. Yet the city's resilience was unwavering, and it continued to adapt to the changing political landscape. As the Mongol influence waned, Baghdad became a part of the Timurids and later the Ottoman Empire. Under Ottoman rule, the city experienced a revival of sorts, benefiting from the stability and prosperity of the empire. While it never regained its former preeminence, Baghdad retained its status as a vital urban center, bridging the cultural and commercial worlds of the East and West. The legacy of the Mongol conquest of Baghdad is a complex tapestry of destruction and renewal, decline and endurance. It serves as a poignant reminder of the impermanence of empires and the resilience of human spirit. The fall of Baghdad in 1258 was a cataclysm, yet from its ashes emerged a city that, though irrevocably changed, continued to play a crucial role in the history of the Middle East. Today, Baghdad stands as a testament to the enduring influence of its past, a city that has weathered storms of conquest and conflict, yet remains a symbol of survival and cultural synthesis. The story of its fall and subsequent rise is a narrative of profound transformation, woven into the very fabric of its identity. In the grand sweep of history, Baghdad's saga continues, a living chronicle of a city that once fell, only to rise again.